So यहाँ सबके नाम के आगे CA लिखा हुआ है, तो मेरे को भी लग रहा था कि मैंने क्यों CA नहीं किया. ऐसे तो मैं हाफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूँ, not because my wife is a chartered accountant, but उसका इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न भरते भरते मैं आधा चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट बन गया हूँ. वो हमारे CA साहब भी यहीं बैठे हैं, तो he knows, you know, that how hardworking I am on the accounts front. But you know, let me begin by thanking WIRC and the committee members for inviting me as a moderator for this particular panel with all the stalwarts here that you can see on the dais. Let me begin by quoting one of the successful investors, late Rakesh Junjunwala ji, who also happens to be a chartered accountant. And he famously said that stock markets are like a woman, you know, always volatile, always mysterious, always volatile, and obviously always charming as well. We are, you know, in a bull market, if I may put it so, because a few days back when I met Mihir bhai, he was saying that, you know, the fundamentals of the market remain intact. But yes, because of various reasons, the markets are down and how. A few weeks back, I got a call from Jeetu bhai that, you know, we are doing a panel discussion that markets are at all-time high. So let's have a panel discussion on that one. And 2 days back, he gives me a call again that topic thoda change karna padega kyunki market ka mood has changed. So let me begin by asking Anand Rathi sir, because he's, you know, the senior most member here. Sir, why are markets down? Do you think the market did not like the Israel-Gaza conflict, or the market did not like the 5% US Treasury yield, or market thinks that 2024 में मोदी जी नहीं आने वाले?
None of them.
None of them.
I think, you know, if you see the history of markets, every year the highest and lower level of the market has, on an average, more than 10% difference. So this is the nature of the market. And jokingly I say, why bring it down? Why it comes down? कि कई बार आदमी ट्रेन में घुस नहीं पाता टाइम से, तो हम ट्रेन वापस लेके आते हैं कि भैया छूट गया तो अब तो बैठ जाओ. This is the opportunity for you. So I think, you know, markets do respond to event risk like Israel or, you know, Ukraine, any event for that matter, does have impact on the market, but that is always short term. We have always seen, you know, you're talking of elections. I think my belief is Modi ji will definitely come. I am very certain on that. But important thing, if you see last 25 years, every election, after 12 months of the election, market was always had double-digit growth. Okay? So markets will, you know, the nature of market is always to, Jitu bhai, you didn't have to change that topic. Eh? Markets, what is next? मैं पूछूं आपको 25 साल बाद निफ्टी कहाँ होगा? Can anyone tell? हैं? थोड़ा बड़ा सोचो. कम से कम 2 लाख, 2.5 लाख. Jitu bhai ठीक है. So, you know, I think one few years back when I gave an interview, Sensex 50,000 हो जाएगा. So half the people laughed at that. क्या कैसे होगा साहब? 50,000 कैसे होगा? So I think, you know, the nature of the market is trend, is growth. So one should not get worried about this volatility of the market unless until you are a trader. If you are an investor, don't even, you know, advise many people, sorry, don't look at the TV. Because आपका blood pressure ऊपर नीचे होता रहता है. So I think my view obviously is that this market is, whenever markets goes up, profit booking is bound to happen. Some events come which create pressure on the market. And more importantly, I think because our speculative, you know, derived rates are very high, they cause even higher volatility. Because when markets change, you know, whether the long position or short position, they come out to cut and then there is a stop loss. So every stop loss, you know, only adds to the fire. So this is what happens. So my view is never worry. Actually, when markets come down and if you want to invest, use that opportunity. Never lose that.
Absolutely, and you know, I will agree with Rathi Saab. But TV देखते रहना क्योंकि हमको तो salary वहीं से मिलता है.
No, it was in a you know joke. Don't take it seriously.
And हमारे TV channel तो मुकेश अंबानी own करते हैं, तो you know he looks at the P&L account, तो देखते रहिए. Vikram bhai, your thoughts on the current market dynamics, because बहुत सारी चीज have changed, and since you manage a lot of overseas money, I would like to have your thoughts on the global scenario currently.
I'll take only 30 seconds to thanks everyone. So thank you CA Institute, Jitu bhai, Kitan bhai. A very important session for me this time because I'm a CA1. Second, I work for Birla Group where I learned from Rathi ji, is my one of the first mentor. Mihir is from Birla Group, that's other advantage. And I also work for Deutsche Bank. So actually it's a very special conference because they powered the conference. So thank you so much everyone for doing that. So like Rathi ji said, market is it's a natural recycling mechanism where market goes up, goes down. It moves on sentiments, unfortunately, in short term, and moves on fundamentals in long term. So short term is always driven by sentiment. People see in night, Nasdaq क्या हो गया, या US आजकल US 10-year बहुत चलता है. 2 साल पहले किसको US 10-year देखते नहीं थे, अभी वो 5 का आ गया तो सब बोलते हैं अभी बढ़ रहा है, नीचे जा रहा है. So people have started. So people follow different kind of mechanism. I learned one thing over a period of time, and Rathi ji will agree and Mihir will agree, that if you see a Sensex track record, 43, 44 years of Sensex, 1980 it came, 79, so 44 years, totally 11,500 trading sessions of Sensex, right? If you see market on a weekly basis, 55% time market is given positive return. Monthly, 59%, quarterly, 64%, half yearly, 66%, 5-year basis, let's move to 5-year, 98%, and 10-year, 100%. So it is a long-term game, and I think we are so lucky. We are in a sweet spot of India. So I'm not very worried about it. Of course, one thing has happened in market. The markets are right now trading at a higher valuation compared to the fair valuation. So when you go higher than the fair valuation or undervaluation, then your volatility goes up because people want to book profit. And then there are a lot of events coming in. Yatin, one is clearly the war number 2 has started, and people are worried about that tomorrow China, Taiwan start, and what happens to the world. The world 10 years back was not fighting. Today, suddenly everybody is fighting for resources or religion or something like that. So that's the one negative reason. Second, you have 5-state election, right? You have interest rates globally are high. Crude again has started going up. So there are so many factors are playing together. So that's why possibly some kind of profit booking or short-term worries are there. But I'm fully endorse Rathi ji's view that this is market to be seen with a 5 or 10-year perspective. You make tons of money. That's what I'm. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I think Mihir bhai will also agree that you need to invest in the market because he's in the business of mutual funds only. So he will never tell you do not invest. Mihir, I need your perspective because our audience is very smart. They are chartered accountants. So why does the equity market really get nervous looking at the 10-year US Treasury yield? A few days back you were in our office and we spoke about the US Treasury yield, how big a damage it can do. So I would like your thoughts on, a 5-year, 5% on a 10-year US Treasury yield. What does it mean to a 7% Indian 10-year yield?
Absolutely. So, pehle to, thank you for inviting me. It's a lovely panel and a lovely audience. So thank you everyone. Coming to the markets, you said there's volatility and what should we do? So normally we look at 2 things in the market to make money, right? First you have to buy and then you sell. But there's a third element which most of us ignore, which is the toughest one, which is hold. So you have to buy, hold and then sell. Buying is easy, selling is a little complicated, but hold is the simplest to do, where you have to do nothing, but it's the toughest to do. So, and it's times like these corrections, 5%, 10% correction, which take your Agni Pariksha. And that's what defines whether genetically, inherently, you are an investor or a trader. Everybody thinks he's an investor, but it's when these kind of corrections happen, the truth will come out, whether you are an investor or a trader. So hold, don't forget the hold part, and that's where the maximum mental strength and discipline are required. Buy to, there are so many advisors, research reports, TV channels, lots of ideas, buy ideas. Rarely anybody gives sell ideas, right? So the hold part is something that we should not forget. Coming back to the market, the global perspective, as you rightly mentioned, is tough. I think the base premise that I'm working with is that India as an economy domestically will continue to do much better than the rest of the world. The rest of the world, I think, will experience a slowdown sooner rather than later. And that's because of the high interest rates and inflation being much stickier than expected. So of course, when the neighbor's house is burning, you will not be unscathed. But relatively speaking, we will continue to do much better. I don't have any doubts about that. And that's because of the very long-term trends that Rathi ji mentioned, that Indian economic strength based on its demographic, democracy, etc. is here to stay. Short term, we will have to deal with the volatility. And the good thing is that never before have you seen a situation where US mortgage rates are actually closer to Indian mortgage rates. You know, the 30-year US mortgage rate is now almost at 8%. The 10-year bond yield, government bond yield is at 5%, but the 30-year mortgage rate is now at 8%. Of course, we don't have a 30-year product, but even our home lending rates are now closer to 8%, or 8.5%, right? So this differential is something that, you know, has never happened before. Our equity market volatility is now actually lower than US stock market volatility. So we are actually behaving more like a developed market compared to much before. And talking about inflation, which is a big concern in Europe, in US, for us, we are still at 4-5%, and which is something that we have dealt for the last 30-40 years. So for us, 5% inflation is nothing new. We've always seen 7-8% interest rates. So we are in a normal condition. It is they who are shocked and they don't know what to do. So I think once we see this through, money will flow into India in a big way, whether it's foreign money or, you know, sovereign wealth fund money. And the good thing is now, frankly, we don't even need foreign money. The way SIPs are coming in, the way insurance premiums are getting invested in the market, the way NPS money is coming into the market, minimum 20 to 25,000 crores per month is flowing into the market through all these sources: EPF money, NPS money, insurance premiums, and SIPs from mutual funds. So we are now actually much more matured and advanced as a market compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago, and a much more robust economy and a market, I would say.
Absolutely. Rathi sir, you have been at the forefront of, the financial services story in India. In the early days only you predicted that the financial services business in India will be bigger. We can see that, in a short span from 1,000 crore of monthly SIPs, we have touched 15, 20,000. And every day there is a celebration with Nifty at 20,000 or, the Sensex at 50,000. A lot of things have changed in India. Thanks to SEBI and the government, the KYC norms have been eased. In 30 seconds you can probably open a Demat account, which was not possible earlier. You can, trade freely on your mobile app. A lot of things have changed. Do you think there is still more headroom for, the Indian markets to have more retail money? And as Mihir bhai was saying that, we don't need FII money. So, would you like to elaborate on why should we not need FII money?
Well, before I answer that question, I think what you really raised is that what is the expectation of flow of more money into this market? I think there, when I started this company 30 years back, and when I set up actually the Birla Mutual Fund and Birla Financial Services, at that time, most people didn't really understand the opportunities available in this market. And these opportunities are also directly related to the growth of the country, the GDP growth which we are going to achieve. Nobody at that time thought that our GDP would be, cross $3 trillion or $3.5 trillion. Now today, when you talk, now we have started talking of 20 years, 25 years. Modi ji also said 2047, what is going to happen. Our GDP is likely to, at least to my mind, be $25 trillion or more. And therefore, I think, most of people sitting here, I see them very young, having at least 25 years career more. And I do tell Yatin in such conferences that all of you are very lucky to be born at the right time, at the right place, where the opportunities are going to be phenomenal. Think of it when the country will have $25 trillion. I may not be able to see that advantage, but you people all will. So, therefore, also, the type of, we were savers right from beginning. Indians by nature are good savers. But what is changing is, the savings are now moving into different asset classes. Earlier it used to be, gold and real estate. And why they didn't come in the stock market? As you rightly put it, today it's become easier. When I started my company, to get a broker, you needed recommendation. People used to come to me when I was working for Birlas, कि यार कोई broker के account खुलवा दो. That was considered as a favor. Okay, see these things have changed. I think our markets have reformed at the highest speed ever in anywhere in the world. The way we brought reforms in our capital markets, thanks to SEBI and exchanges, I also believe that I contributed as BSC president. A lot of changes we could do. Depository system, cheaper system, everything. So I think financial savings are going to increase significantly. Even today, how much percentage of financial is giving? Not even 10%. Okay. So I think, imagine, after in 25 years, this contribution will go to 40-50%. So number one, the GDP growth will come. The percentage of savings coming to the market will increase. So I think, obviously, and we have the advantage of the largest number of listed companies in the world. Okay. And very good, infrastructure on capital markets. Extremely good. So as I saw in pandemic, we added the largest number of, accounts. And they are getting added, again, thanks to media that is making it popular. People are realizing that this is a great market to be in. On the view on FIs, I think, my view is we'll need the money because still, in our country, for greater growth, we are not sufficient for internal capital alone. Whether it comes through in this market or comes at FDI or in water form. Maybe GSEC, when we open, it comes through that. But my view is definitely we need money because, capital is the growth, driver. If you have more capital, you can grow faster. So I think maybe is right that in equity market you may not need. Short term you may not need. And it has happened. Earlier market गिरता था क्या वो FI ने बेचा बड़ा क्यों FI ने खरीदा. Now I think people don't talk that language at all. Okay, what is yes, let FI sell. We are sufficient enough to take those stocks. Last 2 days numbers, if you have seen, about 5,000 crores and 7,000 crores. FI sold, we picked up. And last 2 years, almost 3 lakh crore of equity was sold. It is all out picked up by retail or other investors. So I have a very, very positive view on the capital markets, on the equity markets, and on the growth of our country. So I think also one good thing, because in chartered accountants, we are glad to see so many chartered accountants now getting connected with this market. When I started this business, there were few, very few, who were, and today I am glad to see that everyone has an interest at least. If that's not the main business, it has become one of the side businesses at least. So I'm very glad, and I'm sure it's a great market for chartered accountants because you understand, very well. All chartered accountants have the analytic ability to analyze the stocks and decide which one is good. So a great opportunity again for chartered accountants in this market. Thank you, Yatin.
In the earlier days when I used to fill up IPO forms and, turn on the TV, look at, the TV channels for stocks and all, my mother used to scold me, कि ये क्या कर रहा है? And, when the market today goes up, she's more keen to really know the, stock market levels. Vikram bhai, you have seen, the growth of AUM under your leadership at Birla Mutual Fund manifold times. What is your sense of the current awareness in the market? Do you think more and more people are willing to invest in the markets, or probably there are no avenues per se to go and, the capital market is providing you some steady source of income versus real estate or gold?
Sure. I'll first starting what Mihir and Anandji said, Rathi said that I said we need FI money, but we don't need dependency of them. We need a money, but we don't want to be dependent on them. And rightly so now, as he rightly said, that we're not dependent. And same happened 20 years back in South Korea, when I remember the retails were buying and, the markets are going up, and FIs were selling, markets are going up. So I think it always is happening. Coming back to this, I manage the Birla Sun Life insurance money, but yeah, I think what Rathi ji said the 2-3 things is very important, fundamental. One, we are entrepreneurs. So India has a 5D, 1D is a daring. So it's an entrepreneur's country. 10% people are in job, rest are self-employed. So entrepreneurship is the first. Risk taking is what we have the fundamental factor. Second, our tradition, like you rightly said. I remember when I was getting married to a business family, and my father-in-law asked me, the future father-in-law, what do you do? I say, I'm a financial analyst. He said, share bazaar. I say, Satto. I said, no, sir, Satto nahi, I'm an analyst. So I think this is how we are seeing 30 years back that everyone in stock market is a speculator and he loses short pants. But that transition has happened over a period of time. And a lot of thanks to the 3 things. We are always over-invested in gold, thanks to our wives. Like your wife, you said, talk about. So wives are compulsory invested in gold, and we kept on increasing our wealth. Second, we want to see tangible things. So property was our best thing. Third, a lot of scams were happening earlier. So we didn't have DP, or we had a physical shared certificate. And you will agree that it used to take months and months to transfer to, in your name. So all these things have got over thanks to SEBI and exchange. I think a lot of credit here. I'll give to SEBI and exchanges where they have put a lot of effort, things right. I think we are most automated platform right now in the world. The T+1 settlement. Where do you get this kind of, and SEBI talks about T+0. So I think this infrastructure support, plus entrepreneurship, plus over-investment in the other asset classes lead to, and plus young generation. I think you have to understand the demographically we are on the right stage. So, when you have 60% people are below 25, I mean, they are going to look at the avenues, and they have a long career. Like Rathi ji said, most of them are young. They want to go to the riskier asset. And of course, the Indian markets are not risky because fundamental factors are laid so well. We are not in Europe where there is a social cost, there is a down demography. We are actually at the cusp of the next big opportunity. With Rathi ji seen, pointed out 30 years back, we feel that, still next 15, 20 years belong to us. Till our demographic curve doesn't go other way around like China. I think it's a massive opportunity, and I think you'll see more and more interest in capital market coming for people. Like he said, 7% of financial saving is in equity market today through mutual fund, direct or ULIP, whichever way. Look at Brazil or Vietnam or Mexico or any mid country, China, 40-45% of financial savings in equity market. 7 going to 40 with 6.5% GDP growth. I think this is crazy. It's unbelievable numbers. And look at a population, 140 crore people. Come on, man. I mean, this is like a massive opportunity. So I think all the parameters are there which can take this market to a different level, not in index term, but the participation terms. I think big opportunity.
Absolutely, and India is the land of opportunity. Mihir, I would like to come to a question because, in your previous stint, you manage insurance money, which is quite conservative. You have a lot of parameters when you invest money in the markets. Post-COVID or, in middle of COVID, did you feel that, the market is expensive, or at the current juncture, the market is expensive? How would you really position your portfolio right now? Because I think the audience will also have a question, if I want to invest, how do I really approach the market? Because still the stocks after the correction haven't been, quite cheap, or the valuations are not very attractive. Mid-cap index is still, probably much higher in terms of the standard valuation that they have seen in the last 10 years. Still, quite expensive. So how do you really approach the market and still make money in this expensive market?
So let's kind of make it a little more granular, because it's always dangerous to paint everything with a wide, same brush. So as far as the large caps are concerned, Nifty is concerned, valuations are not expensive. Okay, so Nifty has given virtually nil returns almost now for like 1.5 years, right? We haven't done much in terms of the headline index, whereas earnings have been growing at 15 to 20%. So now the index is almost 20% cheaper than what it was, say, 18 months ago. So as far as large cap valuations are concerned, they are trading at long-term average levels, 17, 18 PE, which is a very long-term average. So I'm not at all uncomfortable with the large cap valuations, okay? Especially, you should never look at PE on a standalone basis or any valuation. It has to be seen in light of the expected growth. And I am expecting at least 15% growth for the next 2 to 3 years for the overall large cap basket. which is the Nifty and the larger indices. So with a 15% compounded growth for the next 2-3 years, valuations at about 17, 18 PE, it's in a comfortable zone. So I don't think you can blame large cap valuations for the fall in the Nifty. The host of technical factors, overextended F&O positions, etc., can be the reason. But I would not blame it on any disconnect between fundamentals and valuations. My worry was more in the micro caps, small caps, and even some of the mid cap segments, where I think valuations have become completely out of sync. They are discounting too much of growth, and that's where I think the correction can happen in a much sharper way, especially the micro caps, the SME indices. That is something that is really scary, and that's where I would be uncomfortable.
Vikram bhai, I'll come to you because if you look at the current quarter results, जो अभी results आ रहे हैं, IT companies are not hiring. In fact, we have seen negative additions to their workforce. If you look at other sectors also, Asian Paints came out with results quite dampening volume growth. Rural demand is quite weak. Rainfall has been patchy. Where do you really go for cover in these volatile times in terms of sectors? How do you really position your portfolio? Because, every sector has some problems, some issue when it comes to domestic markets or global exposure. So how do you really approach the markets at this point in time?
So great question. I think why paints or why even banks have said that our NAMs are picking, or consumer durable companies are saying that we are not growing at the way we wanted to grow, thanks to rural slowdown and thanks to because of the very, very patchy monsoon, because some areas have seen a excess monsoon, some areas are actually dry. So the things are not as simple as, and plus you have the year which is elections, so people anyway don't take the larger calls, and it's not a dole out kind of election where they're doling out a lot of money to the poor and all that. So I think that way it's a kind of patchy time. I think 4 or 5 sectors where we feel that the opportunity for next 3 to 4 years is there, where the penetration levels are low. It's extremely low. So one clearly, of course, like rightly Mihir said, the capital goods sector looks extremely positive. I think we are, as a country, I've not seen the capex in this country for the last 12, 13 years. Last 3-4 years, government has pushed the capex, state, central, PSU companies are putting capex. Thanks to that, the private has got that mindset to increase the capex. Also, government put a lot of right steps in the last 4-5 years, Make in India, PLI, added by the corporate tax rate cut, added by the new gen corporate who first time put the brownfield in India, they had to pay 17-18% tax. So a lot of benefits around corporate taxation. So I think that sector, the manufacturing, corporate capex side of it, that sector I believe is a great. Of course, the valuations have gone up, but I'll not worry about valuation too much there for some time because the growth in front of us is quite high. So you might get correction, like we all agree that there's some correction in short term, but I think that opportunity for next big earning growth or trigger, particularly in capex cycle and manufacturing side, looks very, very good. So let's say example, the PLI has been extremely successful in mobile phones or to some extent chemical, to some extent the consumer durables. I think these are the opportunities for medium to long term. Like Rathi ji said, the capital market is a big avenue for us, and people come into equity market through different channels, either the mutual fund or insurance company or depository or exchanges. Again, capital market is a great sector. I think that will be a resilient. So few areas I see where there's a good amount of resilience and we are kind of moving our portfolio. Earlier times, I remember 10 years back when I used to manage insurance money, when we said defensive, the Mihir and all, we all moved to the FMCG and pharma. But now actually, unfortunately, the private banks have become more defensive than the pharma and chemical and something like that. So I think these are the sectors which are 5-10 year structural story. I think you have to stay there where the growth is there. It's not good to hide to a high P, low growth sector. It's better to be in a mid-high P to a high growth sector. So we like this kind of sectors.
Absolutely, and I don't know how many of you know, but Rathi Saab recently came out with the IPO of his wealth division. The market is down, but that stock is at all-time highs, almost touching 8,000 crores of market capitalization. And as Vikram bhai was putting it out, that capital market and the allied businesses have a very large opportunity. So, fantabulous, team effort by Anand Rathi Wealth, such great wealth creation for investors. People were skeptical. I know, when the IPO launched, people were, thinking about kya hoga, kaise hoga. peers तो ऐसा करते हैं, ये कैसा करते हैं. You know, every business has a different business model, so to say. Rathi Saab, I would like, to ask you something on the PSU rally that we have seen. Prime Minister Modi also spoke about this in the parliament. I think you have seen so many cycles, and this is probably the best cycle for PSU stocks. Do you think the market really, moves on a lot of cycles, churns sectors? How do we really approach, this PSU rally or, the cyclicals? Because it is very difficult to take a call when to buy, when to sell all of these stocks. So how do you really approach, the cycles of the market? Because you have been a veteran here. So, we would like you to share your thoughts.
First, thanks, Yatin, about talking about Anand Rathi wealth. I think, what I believe our job is to do good business, अपना कर्म करें, give value proposition to clients. Market में price क्या होगी वो अपने विक्रम और मीर भाई decide करते हैं. I don't decide that. So thanks to them for acknowledging the good work we are doing. As far as PSU is actually, PSU has always been a potential, growth sector. It has been always very undervalued. Even the realization of potential was not known. This government has really pushed and given a lot of autonomy and freedom to PSUs to do. And my belief is still, there is so much of hidden potential in the PSUs, which we have not yet realized. I think they start, the day they start working like independent entrepreneurs, to what extent it has happened. We have seen what has happened in coal production, we are lagging so many years. So I think with little push from the government, little autonomy given to people, our PSU, managers are best. In my Birla Group days, we prefer to hire people from PSUs because they were very hardworking, very, good and result oriented, but not given freedom. Yeah. So moment you get freedom, so my belief is that PSU will, and particularly like defense sector, PSUs now today defense sector, the way emphasis is given to defense sector, even private sector now. Defense, to my mind, one of the fastest growing growth sector in years to come. India is the largest buyer of arms, and this defense material from the world. Look, in 25 years, why can't we beat Boeing or Airbus? Because our own requirement, today we have the second largest passenger air traffic in the world, okay? Imagine what will happen in the next 5 years or 10 years. How many planes will need? The government policy to allow more airports to come. I think whenever I see, I am basically a very optimistic person. So whenever I talk, I see the opportunities, so many opportunities before us. So I think PSU obviously, to my mind, Yatin is going to do very well, but particularly those companies which are related with defense, there's so much of strength there. See our Chandrayaan, thing. At what cost? It has been done by our scientists. That's all PSU. But there's a great strength there. And today we are sending satellites on behalf of other countries. Maybe we'll become one of the largest supplier of satellites and these things. So look at opportunity. Anywhere you see, the opportunity is great. So Yatin, I think I can talk and talk, but thank you.
Since Rathi Saab bought this Chandrayaan topic, I was in the US after Chandrayaan launched. And it was such a proud moment to see hoardings and, the American people talking about Chandrayaan and India's success on the moon. It is a very big thing. हम लोग ये छोटी चीजें ध्यान नहीं देते as Indians because, this is, probably routine for us. But, there was not a single channel or newspaper which did not have the Chandrayaan headline. It is a real proud moment. And I was surprised to see one of my Chinese journalists being held on the airport for 4 hours. And there was free entry to Indians. That is how perception changes, with a very strong central government leadership and, programs like Chandrayaan. So I just wanted to acknowledge this thing.
1 minute I'll take, I think, to share, what world felt about us. What did the Economist? Economist is, most widely read magazine. In 1997, when we completed 50 years of our independence journey. It said in the past 50 years, India has not prevented mass hunger, illiteracy, or policy guaranteed to keep people poor. Now see, that was 25 years. What did they say in 2022? Improving the lives of 1.4 billion people, India has rolled out a national tech stack. Now we are known in the world for that. Creating bigger business clusters, India has also found a workaround to redistribute more to ordinary folk. India is forecast to be the world's fastest growing big economy in 2022, and it has a chance of holding on to that title for years. And what did the first page say? Will Modi blow it? You know, the way Western media is about us. And the last one, which I'm taking, at 76 in 2023, it says India's ascent is an uplifting story. One of the fastest growing economies, its GDP is expected to overtake Japan's and Germany by 2028, even as it treats a novel path towards getting rich. So see the way, impressions about the country have changed.
Absolutely, and I think perception has changed and a lot of things are happening. Mir, I would like to ask and build on what Vikram bhai said, that the PLI scheme has found a lot of success in chemicals, in electronic manufacturing. Apple has come to India. A lot of companies on the semiconductor front are coming to India. A lot of investments are lined up. Do you think the government has done enough to create a superb investment climate, or more needs to be done? Because on one hand, we have PLIs, simplification of tax. On the other hand, we haven't seen a single divestment in the last 10 years of NDA. They proposed to do, divestment of IDBI, BEML, BPCL. Nothing has really happened. They spoke about, having free fuel pricing. But we have seen the petrol, diesel prices have been held on for quite some time, disturbing a lot of oil marketing companies' balance sheets. How do you really deal with such situations, and how do you really perceive this when you are making your investment decisions? And what more needs to be done by the government? PLI has worked well, Make in India has worked well. What else would you like to see?
I think more of the same. And see, the divestment is not a problem. It's privatization which is a little more political in nature. So I think wherever they were talking about privatization, that's getting delayed. But divestments are happening. A lot of companies, OFS, they are doing as and when the market permits. So I think the more sensitive one is privatization, which is, of course, as we know, getting delayed. But again, say 5 or 10 years ago, the importance of those receipts in the budget was large. But now, with tax collections being so robust, especially after GST and all have rolled out, that is becoming a small. आया तो अच्छा है, नहीं आया तो ठीक है, चल जाएगा. It's not a critical component of the fiscal budget anymore. So if privatizations or divestments don't happen, it's not going to curtail government spending into other sectors. So I think that's not a big topic anymore. This divestment thing. What the government has done, especially in the last 3 to 4 years, is kept the accelerator on the capital spending as far as the central and state governments are concerned. So whether it's roads, airports, ports, railways, defense, wherever they can spend, they are spending on capex. To some extent, even on revenue expenditure. But capex is something that they've been serious about. Railways capital budget used to be 80,000 crores 3 years ago. They hiked it to 250,000 crores. It's a massive increase in the railway expenditure. So the government at the central and state levels are spending on capex as much as they can, to the extent their problem is not of money. The problem is of execution on the ground. So whatever they are able to execute, it's full speed ahead.
Absolutely, and I think the government has been able to fund railways largely because of the robust GST collections and the tax collections. I think our chartered accountants are doing a fantastic job in making their clients pay GST on time and doing all that compliance. Vikram bhai, one final question before we open the floor to questions. If I have 100 rupees today, would you invest that 100 rupees on my behalf? How do I really look at the markets right now? Because a lot of events are coming in, markets are down. So how do I approach allocation? Because यहाँ सब लोग के ज़हन में यही question है कि अगर अभी पैसा है या shares हैं, how do I deal with them? How do I really look at the markets right now?
So you're saying 100 in equity, right?
Yeah, 100 in
Not asset loss.
yes, 100 in equity.
So if I have 100, which is not going to incrementally go up, in the sense I have 100 today and I'll keep on getting, if I have continuous flow, I'll put 100 everything into the market right now. But if I don't get any of the further capital, this last 100 which I have, then possibly I'll spread it over the next 6 months in SIP because there's so many events are coming, so you get opportunity to build up. But if you have, you're young and your continuous income source, I personally believe that 100 maybe बाजू वाले का 20 लेकर डाल सकते हो, ऐसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But I think if you have no income flow, then please spread out. And CS don't need much ज्ञान यार. I say one thing very clearly that if you work for money, then you pay 35% tax or 40% tax, right? And if money works for you, then you pay 11.5% tax. Am I right or wrong? Absolutely. So long-term capital gain, right? If money works for you, you end up paying 11.5% tax. अब उससे better tax planning तो मैं समझा नहीं सकता हूँ, right? और राठी जी ने बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट बोला एयरपोर्ट के बारे में. So you know, despite of and I'm like quite a data geek. So total Indian 1%, 1% of Indians, right, is a 50% of airline traffic today in India. 1%. So आप सोचो अगर 40-50 लोग जाएंगे तो ये तो, and we are second largest customer for Boeing now incrementally. And तीसरा, despite of these numbers, we are not figuring top 20 busiest airport in the world. So look at the opportunity. I'm not worried about that we are on top 20 yet. But I'm really excited about कि if good we are not in top 20. That बहुत बाकी है अभी तो. यानी बहुत दूर है. हम top 5 में आ गए फिर कुछ बचेगा नहीं ना. If we are at the top, if we become Mukesh Ambani, then क्या बचा फिर अभी? तो आप बन गए अभी. तो आप नीचे हो तो बहुत opportunity है. So that's the other opportunity.
Absolutely, and you know, with the digital initiative, yesterday we had the Indian Mobile Congress, and you know, Prime Minister Modi spoke about 5G तो हो गया, अभी 6G करना है, and the number of handsets that we have, the kind of global technology, and hands down, I think Indians are beating, you know, even the Americans when it comes to various core technologies. So I hope the runway is long, and as Vikram bhai said, that the data point still suggests we have a big headroom, so nothing to be worried when it comes to investments. I think with this we should open the floor for question and answers. I think the committee members should hand over the mic for people who have questions.
Any question?
And please do not ask any stock specific questions. We can answer broader questions. So please limit your questions accordingly.
Yes, sir. Sir, Rathi sir and Kotak sir, you are closely related to Birla Group. So what is your stand on telecom sector? I hope you ever got the idea.
I'm not shy. All difficult questions will be asked by Vikram or Mihir. Eh?
So telecom sector, I'll not talk about Birla Group, but telecom sector is a huge opportunity, right? Like just now we said 5G, 6G and many more. And look at our cost of data today, right? And data consumption is still nothing. We are the lowest in the world in costs and data use is highest. You know how much digital transaction of the world we do today? 39%. पूरी दुनिया का 39% world transaction यहाँ पे होता है. अच्छा, अभी भी despite of that, 30% of the world traffic on internet is Google and Netflix, not in India. So what I'm trying to say, the opportunity is again huge. Telecom is a great sector. There are 2-3 players market. I don't know more will come or not. And I think the opportunity is huge. Markets are maturing and despite the rates, I remember, Ratiji, when 96, we bought our first mobile phone. Yeah. And I have that still Birla number 98200. That number is all Birla Group, back to back, 1111 wala number jo hai. मुझे याद है, I used to pay 36 rupees airtime for outgoing, right? And 18 rupees for incoming. And SMS 5 rupees, right? That time Bharti, and I'm not recommending Bharti का EBITDA margin -30% था. आज वो क्या हो गया? Airtime 1 रुपया होगा, outgoing का 50 पैसा, I don't know what is that. Incoming is 0, SMS is 0, there is no fix. Bharti makes what? Mihir bhai 40%, 45% EBITDA margin positive. So आपने क्या किया? Price 0 कर दी, और profit उल्टा हो गया. Because of the opportunity and the penetration level. So that's why 140 crore is an asset for us. And I believe telecom has a long way to go still. But not about the, nothing to do with the Birla Group idea.
And you know, I would just like to add on the telecom front, because when Reliance came into the telecom space. Dhirubhai said that the cost of telecommunication should be cheaper than postcard. Postcard used to be 15 paise at that time. So I think वो कर दिया हम लोगों ने. So, that is what revolution can bring in, and I think with government support and the kind of entrepreneurs that we have done a lot of good things in the telecom sector.
Sir, in one point you have mentioned that FIIs are selling and DIIs are buying. So some days we get the figures that FII ने भी खरीदा, DII ने भी खरीदा, फिर भी market गिर गया, फिर बेचा किसने?
So, retail, right? The derivatives market has become so big that even retail people are moving the market on a day-to-day basis, right? And even HNIs, prop books and FIIs have huge positions in the future segment too. So, you should probably look at the cash market institutional numbers, which is FII plus DII, and the OI outstanding change in the futures market also. That will give you a proper picture.
Sir, can you please share your views on green energy and electric vehicles?
I can talk a little bit because I wrote last month I wrote an article on green energy and what's the path. So I was in London in October first week, and I was surprised. A friend came to pick me up in his Porsche electric car, and he just charged at some place suddenly and some token, some swipe and all that. I said, what are you doing? He said, every third pole in London has a charging station. So that's why the electric in London has become now norm. It's not become the, like India mein kya, 10-12% electrical bikta hai, ya 15% bikta hai. It's a norm there. So I think opportunity is huge. Now for us, the size of country is so big, so it takes time. Some people like Volvo and has openly said recently, I think someone else also said, Audi or someone said, that it's not easy to build the electric. It can create a long-term more emission than what is done by the fuel, diesel or petrol. So I think there are mixed bags, but I don't see any solution other than green energy, because we need to move to that to long term. And people are moving. The government is very, I can say, committed to that. I'm seeing a huge, I'm from Kutch, like Yatin. I'm seeing huge, and a couple of friends from Kutch here. So I'm seeing a huge, the one area called Khavda in Kutch. That is like a desert. You don't find 50 kilometers, you don't find few villages also. That whole bed is now built as a solar bed kind of thing. So I'm very bullish about clean energy in long term, but I don't know what listed plays, how do you play, how do you really kind of play around. But opportunity-wise is a crazy opportunity. We need to have a quick infrastructure in such a large country. If you don't have infrastructure, then you have a problem, because then the only richers who has their own bungalows or house, they can actually charge. Otherwise, what about the normal people? Where do they charge their electric vehicles? So I think we have a long way to go in terms of infrastructure, not in terms of understanding of electric. That's my view.
See, there are two parts. One is the supply of energy, green energy. So I think India is growing the fastest on solar and other forms of energy. Other side is the electrical vehicles. The key thing is the battery. There is huge development going in the battery technology. And lithium is, now fortunately we have recently found lithium in Jammu Kashmir. So I think, in next 10 years, you will see a big change in cost of vehicles or even two-wheelers, on electrical coming down. And at the same time, the cost of power, because now batteries, the solar power, the biggest handicap is that you can't store it. So you still have to have other forms of energy in the night or evening. Now batteries have come, already started. There are plans that in India some battery manufacturers will come. So if the cost of storage comes down, then, and that's what I believe is likely to happen. So you'll see a big change in next 10 years.
Good evening, panelists. So this is C. Alok Katre. I have a slightly different question in that sense. We've all heard bullish comments and outlook. And I'd just like to play the devil's advocate with this question. My question is, we are all assuming across the world that there is still a Fed put that is in place. कि US की growth slow हो जाएगी तो Fed rate काट देगी, fiscal spending आ जाएगी. But my question is, are we just assuming too much given the fact that the US and Europe and almost every country in the world, we have a government debt crisis of sorts, if I can use the term, जो leverage, जो market में problem create करता है, so the government debt bubble, let's put it that way, and the Fed's balance sheet, the ECB's balance sheet, etc., there's just not enough room to deal with a slowdown as such. And therefore, do we actually see the fact that actually ये 5% जो rate गया है, that is just nothing, and we'll actually see it going far higher for longer, or etc., etc. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on what that would mean for India, for the capital markets in India. Should we see that as one sort of a black swan sort of an event, or should we see that as an opportunity because money eventually will come here saying, look, things are too bad over there, and this is a place where we can, make some return. So that was the question.
Very interesting question. And what you say is to some extent right. Okay, it's a paradox there. But let's see, even today, the global growth is still around 3% in the year. It's not, talking of recession, we were all talking. We don't see it. And yes, federal, debt in every world is going up. But that's the way, that's where the problem, I think, US future will look very different than India's future, as you rightly put it. So I think that will create more opportunities for us, for India, to get capital allocation, Otherwise, capital allocation gets, affected by the interest rates. Today, why is so much money going to US? Is the interest rate. But this interest rate cannot last for long because the inflation, which is the deciding factor, is not going to go up. There are more supplies today in every sector, okay, than demand. So my belief is that this interest rate is also not going to last even in US. There the demand will start coming down. People need to earn. Beyond a capacity, you can't keep on borrowing. You are talking of government level, think of personal level. At personal level, if you are overstretched, beyond that, you will not even get a credit card, or you will not get credit from the system. So I think my strong belief is that there is unlikely to be any recession. The countries will, people are now, World Bank is talking of growth going higher in 2025 to 3.4%, okay, from 3% now. So I think, let's, the bad news travel faster. And we get more affected by this sort of news. And more so Indians, So my request to you is that don't get affected by, good news never come. Sorry, media also doesn't bring too much of good news. खराब कुछ हो जाएगी सारे media में आ जाएगा. But the good stories, so much of interest is going on. How many place in print or where you see what sort of growth we are doing? So we are sometimes get influenced by negative news. So kindly be positive, yeah. Let's be optimistic and positive always. That mindset makes a lot of difference.
I think Rathi ne pate ki baat bata di, but I'll try to answer something more a little bit on that side. That US, there are three balance sheet in US. One is a Fed balance sheet, which is pathetic, but they are the kings, right? They are the global reserve of the world, despite they have come down from 67 to 52 or whatever that number may be. But they're still dadas of the world. And they'll remain dadas of the world forever. That's my view. India will not be a dada of the world. US will remain dada of the world because of the demography. Demography is recycled in US every year. Because top 5% of the world talent goes and stays there. Indians, Chinese, Filipinos, everyone. Because they want to live in US because of the lifestyle and all that. So best crowd goes there. Their median per capita is $70,000. We are at $2,800. So they'll keep on getting more and more income. So look at the balance sheet. Corporate balance sheet is strongest in the world. Individual balance sheet much repaired than Lehman crisis. If you remember, Lehman crisis were more driven by the mortgages. Today the crisis is a central balance sheet. But central is a king. Okay. Now they print and today 5%, my view, can go to 6%. The reason is very simple, and we should not worry, as he rightly said, in long term about that. That I fully agree with that. That we have to live our path. We are not US. We have not enjoyed their benefit. So we should focus on our benefit. But what will happen, that US don't mind increasing rates because they have to protect currency. So the higher interest rates brings more dollar to the country. And that's what exactly they are doing. They are not bothered about inflation, in my view. They are more bothered about if you reduce the rate, then the effectiveness of the dollar will further go down. So that's the reason why you are saying, and plus at $70,000 per capita median, and with 75% domestic consumption like India, US will never slow down. That's my view, never slow down. You may have 1 quarter, 2 quarter bip down. You may have cyclical slowdown. But US is going to be the dada of the world till the time they keep this red carpet of 10-year visa open, and kids of mine or Mihir or Rathiji's grandsons goes to US and don't come back. I think they are going to prosper. As simple as that.
Yeah. Hello. Can I ask, sir? Yeah. So coming back to power sector, there's a perception that the re-rating is likely to take place, and your view on that. And secondly, added to that, do you see that, stocks like, I'm going stock specific, but my idea is, how the valuation perception changes even for the financing companies of PSU like RECs and PFC. If we see the NBFCs in private sector, those who are into retail funding are getting price to book value of best company 7 to 8. That perception change is likely to take place in that power sector.
Power is such a large subject that we can spend 1 hour on that itself. But broadly speaking, what's happening is, one is the thrust towards renewables. And renewables is great in the long term, right? But the problem with renewables is two. One is that whether it's solar or wind, they only are operational for 10 to 15% or 20% of the time. Second is, they are only operational for part of the day. And as Mr. Rathi mentioned, solar only happens in the daytime, and so does wind. So there is a problem of supply timing as well as capacity. So when you set up 1,000 megawatts of solar, effectively you get only 20% of that. And plus you need to store it at a right point in time. So setting up renewables means that you also have to set up storage capacity, and it also needs a separate transmission and distribution mechanism. So the investments required in renewable have multiple implications. So that's why, when you're talking about the thrust towards renewables, it's creating a cascading impact on many other sectors' demand. Then you are also talking about smart metering. When again you have such spiky supply, you want to then encourage customers to consume when the demand is lower. So you want to encourage consumers to use power when there is supply available, say in the daytime, and not allow them to use in the night time. So you want differential metering, electronic metering, so that you can charge different rates for different timing. So that creates demand in the electronic and digital metering system. So that's how the whole ecosystem is seeing so much action, I would say. Plus, what is also happening is the government probably went overboard. Sorry, I think please. Went overboard on renewables, and because of that, the base load demand is in short supply, which means you now also realize that even coal is required. So now they're restarting the coal demand, coal power generation process. So a lot of action happening because of all these factors.
Thank you, Mihir bhai.
I'll just take a 1 second break.
Yes.
Sorry.
I would, may I request everyone to please welcome Swamiji amongst us with a huge round of applause. A person, I think, by his presence, he's a powerful aura that he has, and I think amongst many things, one of the most strongest thing is, today he leads this entire space, the Swaminarayan temple that we are in, this premises that we are in. We are indeed happy and we are indeed glad, Swamiji, कि आपने हमारे बीच में time निकाल के you've come in between us. We welcome you to the National Conference on Capital Markets amongst all of us as chartered accountants. Before I can invite you to speak, I'll request Vikram ji. I think Vikram ji के request करने पे sir स्वामी जी एकदम से ready हो गए थे कि हाँ ठीक है, let me address. So I am thankful to you Vikram ji for extending invitation on our behalf to Swami ji. मैं Vikram ji से बोलूँगा कि 2 minutes if you could please talk about Swami ji, and then we'll invite him to speak and address all of us.
Thank you. I think वो किसी के भी invite पे आ जाते थे, ऐसा नहीं मेरे invite पे आए हैं.
नहीं
इतने humble हैं और इतने मैंने इनको काफी सालों से देखा है. तो हम जो place में बैठे हुए हैं, इस योगी सभागृह belong to Swaminarayan Temple, and this Swarup Swami Maharaj I know at least for a decade, and unbelievable work they are doing for society. execution level quality. I'll not talk much. I'll leave the suspense to Swamiji to talk. He'll talk about 5-7 minutes about what activity this Sanstha is doing. And I'm blessed, and I'm really happy to say that I learned a lot all the time from him. And I think what a best way to end the conference. Yeah, you have a saint who is pious, who is here, and who will talk about a little bit of what they do as an institution. So thank you so much, Ketan
Thank
bhai,
you.
Arpit,
Thank you,
and
Vikram ji.
Jitu
And
bhai for taking the request.
before Swamiji address, may I request Honorable Chairman of West India Regional Council to offer a small memento to Swamiji from Western India Regional Council.
स्वामीनारायण भगवान की जय, राधा कृष्ण देव की जय, लक्ष्मी नारायण देव की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। आज आप भारत के फाइनेंशियल मार्केट के जो लीडर हैं वो लोग आए हैं यहाँ पर, क्योंकि आप सबको प्रॉस्पेरिटी बनाए शेयर करेंगे मार्केट से। क्योंकि जैसे आज पूरा भारत से जो ग्लिटरी वर्ल्ड है मुंबई है, कोई भी बच्चा युवान वो फिल्म देखता तो उसके माइंड में एक ही आता है कि मुंबई जाना है और फिल्म में एंट्री लेना है। तो जैसे बच्चा पढ़ते पढ़ते आगे बढ़ता है 10-11 बार 10वीं कक्षा में 12वीं कक्षा में जब कुछ सुनता है, टीवी देखता है, तो हर रोज स्टॉक मार्केट चलता रहता है, तो उसके माइंड में एक ही आएगा मुंबई जाना है, कमाना है। और आप लोग उनको गाइड दे रहे हैं। तो इसके अंदर अपने लाइफ में आप जितना ट्रैक पे रहेंगे, एथिक्स वैल्यू के ऊपर रहेंगे, इतना आप खुद ही सक्सेसफुल रहेंगे और आपकी जो फॉलोवर है उसको भी आप सक्सेस बनाएंगे। जैसे ट्रेन होती है, आज एक कार होती है, रोड पे चलती है, कितनी बार अप एंड डाउन करती है रोड पे, लेकिन ट्रेन जो ट्रैक पे चलती है तो हजारों लोगों को वो ट्रैक पे ला के सकती है। ऐसे आप लोग जो अपने लाइफ के अंदर, क्योंकि एथिक्स वैल्यू वो कोई रिलीजियस सिंबल नहीं है, वो ह्यूमन बीइंग का है। कोई भी धर्म का है, कोई भी कंट्री का है, उसके अंदर एथिक्स और वैल्यू होता है तो वो आगे बढ़ता ही है, हम उसको फॉलो करते हैं। आपको लगेगा कि एक हमारे प्रॉपर्टी के जो मार्केट के है इसके अंदर संत महाराज कैसे आ गए, क्योंकि जनरली दुनिया को जोड़ने के लिए बहुत सारे संबंध है। जैसे एक फाइनेंशियल मार्केट है, उससे भी आप वर्ल्ड को कनेक्ट करते हैं, उसके अंदर कोई रिलीजियस या उसका कोई बर्डन नहीं आता है जिसके अंदर, जैसे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन उसके अंदर। जैसे स्पोर्ट्स है, स्पोर्ट्स के जरिए भी आप संबंध बना सकते हैं विश्व के अंदर। जैसे भारत और पाकिस्तान का काफ़ी कुछ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चलता है, फिर भी क्रिकेट मैच देखने के लिए सब आते हैं। ऐसे हमारे माइंड में क्या होता है कि भाई धर्म है वो डिवीज़न करता है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है। जैसे बिजनेस से आप वर्ल्ड को कनेक्ट करते हैं, जैसे स्पोर्ट्स से वर्ल्ड को कनेक्ट करते हैं, इस प्रकार रिलीजन से भी आप वर्ल्ड को कनेक्ट करते हैं। क्योंकि कभी आपने देखा नहीं है तो आपके माइंड में नहीं आएगा, लेकिन मैं थोड़ा ग्लिम्पस बताऊंगा कि प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज जो हमारे गुरु हो गए, उन्होंने अक्षरधाम बना के पूरे वर्ल्ड को कनेक्ट किया है। जैसे आप बिजनेस से कनेक्ट करते हैं, यहाँ से काफ़ी आप लोग अक्षरधाम दिल्ली गए होंगे, कोई शायद अहमदाबाद का भी अक्षरधाम देखा होगा, और कई लोगों ने अभी 20 दिन पहले ही अमेरिका में विश्व का सबसे बड़ा मंदिर ओपन हुआ, उसके बारे में भी कुछ समाचार देखा होगा। तो आज ये रिलीजियन है, वो जाति भांति से आगे जा रहा है, वो डिवीज़न की बात नहीं है। अभी आपका कोई मित्र होगा, हम फ्रेंडशिप बाहर रखते हैं, बिजनेस के अंदर रखते हैं, लेकिन घर पे कभी कभी नहीं बुलाते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जो सीनियर्स हैं उनको पसंद आए नहीं आए। लेकिन आपको जान के खुशी होगी, अक्षरधाम दिल्ली में हमारे गेस्ट कौन थे? तो क्वीन ऑफ कतार, प्रिंसेस ऑफ सऊदी अरेबिया, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ ईरान खोमेनी, ऐसे जो मुस्लिम कंट्री के लीडर हैं वो भी अक्षरधाम के हमारे ऑफिशियल गेस्ट थे। आज अब्दुल कलाम साहब का नाम तो किसी से अननोन नहीं है, जिन्होंने उनको देखा है वो तो उनके फैन है ही है, लेकिन जिन्होंने नहीं देखा है उनको, नई जनरेशन ने, लेकिन उनके कैरेक्टर से तो सब उनके फैन होंगे। तो ये अब्दुल कलाम साहब प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज के शिष्य थे। हम जानते हैं कि अब्दुल कलाम साहब हर रोज गीता पढ़ते थे, लेकिन हम भी कुरान पढ़े तो हम कहीं मुस्लिम तो नहीं हो गए हैं। अब्दुल कलाम साहब एज ऑफ 84 जब गुरुजी को ये बुक हैंड ओवर करने को आए, ट्रांसेंडेंस माय स्पिरिचुअल एक्सपीरियंस विद प्रमुख स्वामी जी, वो दिन उन्होंने मंदिर के अंदर प्रसाद भी नहीं लिया, पानी भी नहीं पिया। क्यों? क्योंकि वो एज ऑफ 84 रोजा रखते थे। तो प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज जाति भांति से इतने ऊपर थे कि मुस्लिम थे, फिर भी उनके शिष्य थे। और उन्होंने जो बुक लिखा ट्रांसेंडेंस माय स्पिरिचुअल एक्सपीरियंस विद प्रमुख स्वामी जी, ग्लोबली पब्लिश किया है हार्बर कॉलेज अमेरिकन पब्लिशर ने। तो रिलीजन है बहुत नैरो माइंडेड नहीं है, बहुत ही वाज उतरा एस्पेक्ट्स है। जैसे अभी धर्म के अंदर हम जाते हैं बहुत सारी जगह पे, मंदिर के अंदर वगैरह, तो हम इतने पढ़े लिखे हैं, दुनिया देखा है, तो कभी कभी हमारे धर्म पे ऊपर भी हमें शर्म आती है कि ऐसा क्यों, ऐसा क्या, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। तो कभी कभी हम उससे दूर होते जा रहे हैं। लेकिन एक बार आप अक्षरधाम का विजिट करिएगा, आपका जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होगा, आपके मन में जो भी कॉन्सेप्ट होगा वो निकल जाएगा। अक्षरधाम मंदिर को ओपन हुए आज 18 साल हुआ है, लेकिन आज आप जाएंगे आपको लगेगा कि ये हफ्ते 10 दिन पहले ही ओपन हुआ है, इतना वो क्लीन एंड नीट है। आज जब भारत में रहते हैं हम, बहुत ही अच्छी हमारी लाइफस्टाइल है, हमने जो भी चीज़ को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है, लेकिन अक्षरधाम के अंदर जो क्वालिटी का जो बेंचमार्क है वो इंटरनेशनल से भी ऊपर है। आप लोगों ने सभी ने आर.के. लक्ष्मण का नाम सुना होगा। वो सभी का क्रिटिक्स करते थे, लेकिन उनके लिए किसी ने भी क्रिटिक्स नहीं किया है। तो आर.के. लक्ष्मण साहब जब अक्षरधाम विजिट करने के लिए आए, तभी पूरा दिन उन्होंने विजिट किया अक्षरधाम। बाद में गुरुजी के पास आके बोला कि स्वामी जी, मैंने लाइफ में सभी चीज़ को क्रिटिक्स किया है, चाहे अच्छी हो चाहे बुरी हो, अच्छी चीज़ को भी उन्होंने अच्छी तरह से क्रिटिक्स की है। लेकिन उन्होंने बोला कि मैं आज पूरा अक्षरधाम परिसर के अंदर घूमा हूँ, लेकिन मुझे ऐसी एक स्क्वायर ही जगह नहीं मिली जिससे मैं क्रिटिक्स कर सकूँ। तो क्वालिटी का भी इतना बड़ा बेंचमार्क है। मैनेजमेंट, हम लोग मैनेजमेंट का कोर्सेज करते हैं, जैसे कॉरपोरेट में हर ईयर या तो क्वार्टरली या तो हाफली उनको सभी अपने स्टाफ को, मैनेजमेंट को भी उसको ट्रेनिंग देते हैं। लेकिन रिलीजन के अंदर मैनेजमेंट का भी बहुत बड़ा रोल है। मैनेजमेंट के बिना रिलीजन भी नहीं चलेगा, जो आपको आगे बढ़ना है। तो शायद बहुत सारे लोगों को पता होगा कि अक्षरधाम के निर्माता जो प्रमुख स्वामी जी है, उनको लास्ट ईयर 100 साल कंप्लीट हुआ, और उनके लिए हमने अहमदाबाद में एक बड़ा फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेट किया था, प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव। 30 दिन के फेस्टिवल में 1,31,00,000 लोग आए थे। हर रोज के कम से कम 3 से 4 लाख लोग आते थे। आप समझ सकते हैं कि 3-4 लाख लोग हर रोज आएंगे तो कैंपस कैसा हो जाएगा, कितनी धूली उड़ेगी। लेकिन जो वॉकिंग एरिया था 200 एकर्स, हमने उसको डस्ट फ्री एनवायरनमेंट में बनाया था। अभी आपको लगेगा कि 200 एकड़ को डस्ट फ्री कैसे बनाना, कोई कारपेट लगाया होगा, लोन लगाया होगा। लोन भी तो 2 दिन में टूट जाएगा, कारपेट भी फट जाएगा। लेकिन हमने उसको ऐसा सोचा कि क्या करें, तो 200 एकड़ जो एरिया था उसको हमने पेवर ब्लॉक से कवर किया था। तो आप जो इंटरनेशनली वर्ल्ड के कोई भी एक्सपो में जाते हैं या तो डिज्नी में जाते हैं, जो क्वालिटी आपको साइनिंग वगैरह तो दिखते हैं वहाँ पर, वही क्वालिटी या तो उससे भी अच्छी क्वालिटी आपको ये फेस्टिवल में देखे मिलेगी। और ये फेस्टिवल 80,000 स्वयंसेवकों ने उपस्थित किया था। आज हम अपने सेल्फ सेंट्रिक होते जा रहे हैं वर्ल्ड के अंदर। कभी हमारा काम दूसरे का नहीं कर सकते, परिवार का घर का काम भी कभी हम नहीं कर सकते। ऐसे टाइम के अंदर दूसरों के लिए टाइम देना, 80,000 स्वयंसेवक, 600 एकड़ का कैंपस बना, 600 एकर्स। कभी कभी हमारा 2-3 बेडरूम का फ्लैट है, उसको भी हम मैनेज नहीं कर सकते हैं। कभी घर पे कोई गेस्ट आने वाले होते हैं तो हम 2-3 घंटे पहले उसको साफ कर लेते हैं कि आज घर पे रुकने वाले हैं तो जरा ठीक ठाक कर लेते हैं। तो ऐसे 600 एकड़ का कैंपस, उसको हाइजेनिकली क्लीन रखना, वो कितना बड़ा चैलेंज है। तो वो भी हमने अच्छी तरह से फुलफिल किया है। वहाँ वॉलंटरी का एक बड़ा उदाहरण मिला सेवा का, कि हमने 30 दिन के अंदर 59 लाख सीसी ब्लड डोनेशन कलेक्ट किया। तो ये सेवा का जो भाव कैसे जागृत होएगा? जब ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट, आप वाईफाई एनवायरनमेंट में आएंगे तभी आपका फ़ोन एक्टिव होगा, तो वो वातावरण कितना अच्छा होगा, आपको ऐसी भावना होती है। अभी आपने अक्षरधाम अमेरिका की बात सुनी, जो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा मंदिर, सबसे पहला मंदिर था वो कंबोडिया में, लेकिन आज वो एक्टिव नहीं है, वो खाली विजिटर्स वहाँ वो आर्कोलॉजिकल विजिट करते हैं वहाँ पर। ये मंदिर 185 एकड़ में है। लेकिन उससे देखने की बात ये है कि हम स्किल पीपल से स्किल काम तो ले सकते हैं, लेकिन अनस्किल पीपल से स्किल काम लेना कितना मुश्किल है। एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देख ले कि भी घर से वाइफ कभी मायने गई है हफ्ते के लिए, तो आपका घर कैसा हो जाएगा आप खुद ही समझ लीजिएगा। वो सब काम आपको आता है, हाउस कीपिंग वगैरह, लेकिन हम नहीं करते हैं। लेकिन ये अक्षरधाम बनाने का, वो पत्थर का काम, मैसनरी वर्क, वो पूरा अमेरिकन बर्न वॉलंटियर्स ने 15,000 स्वयंसेवकों ने पत्थर काटना, लगाना, वो काम वो किया है। जो लेडी वॉलंटियर्स थी उन्होंने आरएमसी प्लांट चलाना, ट्रक चलाना, वो सब हार्डवर्क, वो सभी चीज़ मैं आपको जो बता रहा हूँ वो कोई चीज़ हिडन नहीं है। आप अक्षरधाम.usa का उसका इंस्टाग्राम है, वेबसाइट, सब कुछ चीज़ उसके अंदर है। तो रिलीजन के माध्यम से आप मैनेजमेंट भी सीख सकते हैं। आप वर्ल्ड की बेस्ट ऑफ बेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी का जो मैनेजमेंट क्लास वहाँ पर सीख सकते हैं। माने जो भी चीज़ आप नहीं देख सकते हैं, फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट। अभी लोगों को लगता है कि स्वामीनारायण के पास तो बहुत पैसा है, इतने बड़े मंदिर बनाते हैं, इतना बड़ा एक्टिविटी करते हैं। तो कभी कभी देखो मैंने डोनेशन के लिए जाना पड़ता है सब जगह, तो लोग हमें बात करते हैं कि स्वामी जी आपकी संस्था के पास तो बहुत पैसा है, इतना है। तो मैं उनको बताता हूँ कि भाई आपके माइंड में जो भी फिगर आप फिगर आउट करो, मैं आपको बैलेंस शीट बताऊँगा और जितना माइनस होगा आप फुलफिल करना हो। BAPS का काम है क्वालिटी का। जैसे ट्रस्ट है, ट्रस्ट का काम सेविंग्स करना है, बैंक रखा है, आपके म्यूचुअल फंड वो सेविंग्स करते हैं। संस्था का काम है एक्सपेंडिचर करना। तो हम इतना अच्छी तरह से काम करते, वो इतना मल्टीप्लाई होता है। जितना हमारा मिरर क्लीन होगा इतना इमेज अच्छा आएगा। अभी ज़्यादा मिरर रखेंगे तो आपका जो इमेज है भी मल्टीप्लाई होगा। तो BAPS का काम है इतने वॉलंटियर का, इतना अच्छा क्वालिटी का, मैनेजमेंट का, फाइनेंशियल स्टडी का, कि उसमें कोई कंट्रोवर्सी कभी आ सकता नहीं है। तो भगवान स्वामीनारायण को प्रार्थना करते हैं आप लोग जो यहाँ पर आए उपस्थित हुए हैं और ये कैपिटल मार्केट के लिए जो नॉलेज लिया है, आपके लाइफ में भी वो उतरे और आप जो हज़ारों लोगों को आप गाइड करते हैं, आपका भी शुभ हो। आप जिसको फॉलो करेंगे, आपको जो फॉलो करेंगे, सभी के जीवन के अंदर प्रॉस्पेरिटी बढ़े और खूब आगे बढ़े। क्योंकि आपका ग्रोथ आपका अकेला का नहीं है, क्योंकि आप जो ग्रोथ करेंगे आपके फॉलोअर ग्रोथ करेंगे और उससे कंट्री का GDP बढ़ेगा। तो आपका पर्सनल ग्रोथ नहीं, वो कंट्री का ग्रोथ है। तो भगवान को प्रार्थना करते हैं कि आपके पर्सनल ग्रोथ से कंट्री का भी ग्रोथ होए। अस्तु।
What an auspicious ending to this 2 days national conference on capital market. I think a wonderful start, a powerful start. और हम देख रहे हैं कि जिस तरह से ये 2 दिन कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ है कि पूरा मार्केट टर्न अराउंड हो गया है, और मैं चाहूँगा कि आने वाली दिवाली के मुहूर्त के जो सौदे हैं वो भी इसी तरह से बहुत बढ़िया पॉजिटिव रूप में होते रहें और मार्केट आप सभी को प्रॉस्पेरिटी दे। ऐसे ऐसे भाव के साथ और भी आपके कोई क्वेश्चंस हो, वी कैन टेक अप 2-3 क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम ऑडियंस फॉर दिस सेशन ऑफ कैपिटल मार्केट।
Yes, yes, please. बंद करना क्या है? अरे गए ना अभी। एक सेकंड।
Just for understanding, do activities of hedge funds differ from the mutual funds?
So hedge funds are, typically, you have seen more in matured market. And now we realize after many years of this, SEBI also realized that we need hedge funds and alternate funds. And that's why a few years back, SEBI came with the guidelines. And today India is the fastest growing AIF market, which I say alternate investment fund market, where you have category 1, 2, 3. 3 is where we work, is a listed market. Our job is, so there are differentiated products, but still India is not that high in volumes where we can create a very large long short market, or say long Taiwan, short Japan, or something like that, or cross asset market. Still we are far away. But hedge fund, typically you're right, is actually for the one absolute and short term kind of returns. They are targeting towards and they are agnostic across asset class. So they can go cross asset class, cross country. So it's a very big world. In the mutual fund is more long term. They are for the long term savers. These are for the high net worth individuals who are looking at alternate opportunities, big opportunities. They want to invest at a different asset classes which mutual fund may not able to invest in a particular way. So, yes.
Thank you for this session. My question is I have been investing since 4 years. The day I turned 18, तो generally लोग license के लिए apply करते हैं, driver's license के लिए. मैंने DMAT के लिए apply किया था. So in my portfolio I have 30 good quality stocks. एंड सबका P&L मतलब काफ़ी अच्छा है, बट द थिंग इज़ कि मेरे पास जो इंक्रीमेंटल कैश फ्लो आता है, मतलब दिस इज़ बीइंग माय फर्स्ट जॉब, सो आई एम अनेबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि मैंने ये SIP करना चाहिए गुड क्वालिटी स्टॉक में या फिर कोई और मल्टीबैगर स्टॉक ढूंढने चाहिए नए।
मल्टीबैगर वहाँ पे
बिकॉज गुड बिजनेस ऑलरेडी मैंने ढूंढ लिए एंड मुझे लगता है काफ़ी, अगर मैं 3-4 महीने में इनको अगर देखूँ ये स्टॉक्स को तो ये अच्छा कर रहे हैं, तो मैं 3-4 महीने में एक बार रिव्यू करता हूँ। तो ये 30 गुड क्वालिटी स्टॉक्स है, तो वही है, मुझे इसमें SIP करना चाहिए या फिर कुछ नए स्टॉक ढूंढने चाहिए?
देखो, good that you have started and you are confident about the 30 stocks, and 30 is a good number. It's a
Sir, last 4 to 5 days movement in market, some doubt.
Sir, 1 minute, sir, please. इनके क्वेश्चन का जवाब दे रहे हैं। एक मिनट।
So 30 is a good, well-diversified portfolio. I'm assuming that it's not concentrated in. It's not skewed, so that's good. But multi-bagger is a term very loosely used, because if you hold your good quality stocks long enough, they are the multi-baggers. When I started my career, the Sensex was 4,500. When Mr. Rathi started his career, the Sensex was 100. So if you have a good quality portfolio and you hold it long enough, then that portfolio is your multi-bagger. The problem is when we want the same returns in 6 months or 12 months. That's when you start getting into the risky territory. 100%, of course.
Sir, last 4 to 5 days movement in market, some doubt in my mind. How to evaluate the current boom in stock market, speculative, structural, or liquidity crisis?
See, as I mentioned earlier also, this market is meant for 2 types of people. One is investors, second is trader or speculators. So I think my recommendation is that if you remain as an investor, you are bound to make money. As a trader or a speculator, I think it's your skill or luck. I don't know what does it work. I don't recommend people normally to go in that route unless until you have expertise or you have sort of full-time job to do this. You know, part-time investing is not easy. So my recommendation is that don't get worried. If you are an investor, जैसे Vikram told, 5 साल का आप अगर moving average देखेंगे, तो 98% of the time market is up, okay? 1 or 2% it could be lower. So I think if you remain, the key thing to make money in this market is to remain invested for long term. Short term के लिए 3 महीना, 6 महीना, market can go up, go down, because every day some events happen, some news comes, sentiments, as he said, sentiments affect the market. तो अगर 4 दिन में कम ज़्यादा हो रहा है, if you are investor, don't worry. If you are trader, then you have to see every hour what you want to do. Okay? Thank you.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much for the session. Good evening, everyone. My question is, basically, I'm just like you, I'm an eternal optimist. I believe in India's growth story, but I have fear about a few things, and most of them can be considered political, like the freebie culture that is gaining because of the continuous GST collections that states are seeing. The opposition and the states promise something that just stops or hold back the growth story because the synergy that should be there because of the central and state spending is not there. What is your take?
Okay. I think, in a democracy, in any political situation, such things are likely to happen. There has to be a balance. Any government particularly has to balance between the expenditure for the social sector of benefit versus the investment for future. And surely if, the first is too high, then it affects the long term. But fortunately, I think, in our country, major investments are made by the central government still, okay? And central government focus last many years now has been on the investment-oriented investment you have seen. I think last few years, first time we are seeing that there is no revenue deficit, So more money which we are raising, even through loans, etc., is going into the infrastructure investment. So long term, obviously, country would be better served. That's part one. The second part is growth in the country comes because of the entrepreneurs, and which Vikram rightly said. To my mind, when people ask me question, what is number one strength of India? Number one strength of India is entrepreneurs. Any government may come or go. It is the entrepreneurs which create the wealth, which create the value. So I think, yes, one should get little concern if there are too much of freebies. But then, beyond a point, any freebies affect electorate for one time. Next time, it becomes a right. What becomes a benefit today? So I think this is a hot topic being discussed all around. But I think the impact of that, if you take freebies by the state government, cannot be very large on the growth of the country.
I'll just add to what Rathi said that, like what Swamiji said just now, it's not your growth, it's the country's growth, right? So when you are earning a lot, right, it's your duty when the country is like that, where you have 1% people having 99.98% of wealth, something like that, or 1% of people are 30% of income today. You need to contribute more. That's my view. And I don't feel like someone says me, personal tax of 42, it's too high. I believe it's a correct rate because we are in a growth phase. So it's like a CSR which you're doing for earning extra because you have extra knowledge or you are sitting in the right forum. So you have to do that, because if you don't do that, the rest 99 will not come up. And if they don't come up, you'll have a social unrest. You will grow older before you grow as a country, because we don't have much time. We have next 17, 18 years on demographical side, because we are not US where we are allowing outsiders to come and stay in India. We are like a one-sided country where people go out, but nobody, like US is a two-side. So unless you change demographic pattern of the country, which is going to get old in next 15, 17 years, I think it's a great that people like us who are earning on a higher bracket should give to the next level. And you see the difference in last 10, 15 years. Sorry, I'm expanding. I remember 20 years back when we watch a cricket match, right? You'll find displays from Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, that's all. Today, some of the players come from Kashmir in a small town, or Dhoni from that small near Ranchi, whatever. So you see people who, even we don't know the town's name. I don't know many of the town's name which they come from. So look at the sports, look at the, even the, talent. Go to Instagram or go anywhere. I think that's the beauty about opportunity. You are loving, more spend. And like Rathi said, spending on infrastructure ultimately has a huge multiplier to the country, right? You create more employment, you create more prosperity. If you don't do that, being a top 1%, don't allow it to happen, then I think we go into the wrong side of the world. So I think you go into social unrest and conflicts within the country. So that is rightly avoided. I think government has done a good job in that.
Let's take the last question.
Hello, my name is C. Chirag Jain. I am full-time trader. Everyone says buy on dips, buy on dips. जैसे दिवाली का सेल आया तो नीचे, उसके बाद में क्रिसमस का सेल आता तो और नीचे जाता है, मतलब और नीचे जाएगा, फ्री में हो जाएगा क्रिसमस के सेल में. तो मार्केट में भी वैसे ही होता है कि दिवाली का सेल लगा तो क्रिसमस में और नीचे चला जाएगा, इसको मत लो, खरीदो मत. तो कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करने का कि ये लास्ट सेल है या अपना, अब जैसे 100 रुपये में शेयर लिया तो 80 रुपये हो जाता है और 50 रुपये हो जाता है, तो कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करें कि ये करेक्ट डिप है, कैसे?
लगता है हमको तीनों को एस्ट्रोलॉजी का कोर्स भी करना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, exactly. I think only astrologer can tell you. Nobody knows what's market going to be.
But I'll tell you one thing. What Jitu bhai told me every time he tells me कि एक tip देना पड़ेगा आपको at the end of the session. So मैं tip दे देता हूँ. बोलो Jitu bhai, बोल दो stock multi bagger. So I always say people buy Nifty. In few years will become Sensex.
Thank you so much. I think we had a wonderful panel discussion, and what better ending can be than this auspicious ending, and wishing all of you a great success in capital market. Let me invite my colleague in Regional Council, Gautamji Lat, to propose a very well-deserved vote of thanks to this panel and also the Capital Market Committee.